Para, swing, para. Hey, para, swing, para. Kennedy, swing, para.
Welcome to Baseball Chatter with Rick and George here. Rick's got all the information and he's got the looks, but I've got my hand on the control button, so that makes me in total control of you, Rick.
You're in total control, George. That's what we like to hear.
Well, you want to talk total control? Let's start. Let's just jump right out to Texas. I mean, the Baltimore, did they even show up for this series?
No, I mean, not said it the other night. Baltimore was overmatched in this series. They obviously had to take a game in Baltimore, and they didn't do that. But their bats are just dead. They came alive yesterday on Sunday. You know, their bats kind of woke up, but they managed 14 hits and only, I think, got 8 runs, something like that, and lost the game. And then tonight they haven't shown up so far, and it doesn't look like there's much hope for them getting back in this game at this point, the way they're playing right now.
Now, at this point, they've
given talk about Kramer and Evaldi going head to head here, but there wasn't much head to head. Evaldi showed up and Kramer did not.
Yeah, and I mean, Kramer only went 1.2, 1 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned, 2 home runs. I mean, right out of the gate. I mean, I have been to the ballpark in Arlington, the new ballpark down there. It's a very nice facility to play in, but I'm not sure I'd call it a home run dome.
No, it's not a home run dome. It's a big ballpark. You know, I didn't know this about Kramer, though. He's the first Israeli-American pro baseball player in the MLB.
So let me ask you about the Rangers just a little bit. I mean, the Rangers went and, you know, they were hot at the beginning of the season, then they slowed down just a little bit, but they went and made some moves, probably more moves than some other teams. Is that the difference here, you think, in this series, or were they just overmatched over the Orioles all along?
I mean, they're good. And also, you know, Corey Seager got healthy, and healthy Corey Seager, that's a top 3 player in baseball. So, you know, I think with him being healthy right now, he's killing the ball. Let's see what Seager, he's reached his last 15 of 22 at bats in the playoffs. Already hit a home run tonight. So, you know, a guy like, you got a veteran player like that, he's got a ton of playoff experience. They've got a lot of young guys. And they made some really good moves to help them out. So, you know, right now, Texas playing as good as anybody.
So more than likely with what the Twinkies did today, it looks like you're going to see an all Texas American League Championship Series. And I think most people think going in, the Astros are the favorites. So I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves too much and to sit there and say, is that what you project? You project the Astros to wrap it up? I wasn't going to cover them too much today after a big 9-1 victory today, but you think the Astros wrap it up in the next game and we're going to see an all Texas American League Championship Series?
Well, the way game 1 started out with that, it kind of looked like Houston was just going to wrap it up in 3. And then, you know, the Twinkies showed up and kind of took it to them big time Sunday. So, you know, I'm not saying the Twins don't have it in them. They certainly didn't today, or, you know, I don't see them winning it, you know, being down now 2 games. But they are still at home right now. They've got another game at home. If they're going to get a win, obviously they have to do it tomorrow. It's going to be a elimination game for them. So they're going to have to win tomorrow. I think they're overmatched. I thought Houston and Texas were the best 2 teams in the series for the American League. And obviously it looks that way right now. So
if that holds true as it projects, is that the World Series right there? Is that Houston, Texas? Is that the winner of the World Series?
No, I don't think so. I also think right now that the Phillies and the Braves may be the best 2 teams in this whole thing. I don't know. I think we've got 4 really good teams in here. I don't think Arizona or the Dodgers. The Dodgers or bats are just still completely dead. So I do think that the winner of this Braves-Phillies series may be the best team. When they're playing their best ball. And that's what the playoffs are all about, is not who's the best team over 162 games, who's the best team playing right now. And, you know, it's tournament baseball. It doesn't matter what you did in June and July. It matters what you can do right this minute, who's got the hotter players, who's got the, you know, guys doing everything right and just getting the breaks. And right now, I think we've got some really good baseball left to play, and before we can pick a champion.
Yeah, you jumped on the Dodgers right there. You talked a little bit about their the bats not going, but do you really want to say it's not the bats? I mean, between two games there, Kershaw or just a third of an inning pitch before he gets pulled and giving up 6 runs, and then Bobby Miller only 1 2/3 innings pitch before he gets pulled. I mean, the Dodgers starting pitching has been atrocious.
It's been atrocious, but they haven't had bats. Their bullpen has done a pretty good job for the most part, having to come in the second inning and back-to-back games. But the Dodgers right now are just playing terrible baseball. They're not pitching, they're not hitting, they're not doing anything. And so, right now, I think, I picked the Dodgers. I thought the Dodgers would handle Arizona, but right now I think Arizona's obviously got the upper hand. And if the Dodgers can't figure something out real fast, I don't see them sticking around and making it to the show.
Yeah, the Dodgers one of two or three 100 game. In fact, you go look at it. Really, all three 100 game winners, except for the Braves right now. So two of the three 100 game winners, being the Dodgers and the Orioles, are struggling. Okay, so they obviously lock up their division pretty early. They get that playoff. So is this a situation where you're seeing teams with rust versus rest?
Yeah, some of that, but I mean, also too, I don't think you can go by that because a lot of that matters. What division were you in? I do think the Phillies and the Braves are two of probably the best three teams in baseball right now. The Phillies won 87, 90 games, something like that in the regular season. I think 90 games.
90 games.
Yeah, in the regular season. And the Phillies right now are playing phenomenal baseball. They're pitching. Wheeler last night was absolutely incredible, at least through 4 innings, and took a loss. But the other night, Spencer Strider, 7 innings. It was fantastic, took a loss. So, it's exciting, fun baseball.
Not only Strider 7 innings, but only 1 earned run. I mean, that's a 1-0 ball game if you take the errors out of there.
But the Braves can put up runs. I mean, the Braves got blank 3-0, and I think they had 3 hits in that game.
About 4 maybe, but but I think you got to go back and look. You want to talk Phillies and Braves, and we're jumping around a little bit here, which I like doing because I've been doing some exciting series to talk about. But you look at the Braves. Should they have really won that game last night? All right, the Phillies 2-8 with runners in scoring position. Braves 1 for 1. I mean, they took obviously advantage of opportunities. Phillies 11 men left on base. Braves only 2. The Braves
didn't really, 4 hits.
The Braves didn't come alive until the 6th inning. But again, their pitching is what's doing it for them. But if you're a Braves fan, you feel lucky to get out of there with a win last night?
Yeah, you're feeling lucky to get out of there. I mean, so here's the thing: you're watching that game. You're into the 5th inning, and it feels like the Braves may never get a hit. It feels like they may never score a run. And then all of a sudden, finally, and that was a great job by Snedeker to put Travis d'Arnaud in because, I mean, so here's a guy who has caught Wheeler second most innings of any catcher in major leagues, and he's 7 of 18 going into that game against him, and wasn't in the lineup the game before. So putting him in the lineup, and then boom, what does he do? Get a runner on, and he smokes a hanging breaking ball, and and all of a sudden the crowd came to life. The players came to life. The players looked emotionless. The stadium was dead silent. And it was just like all of a sudden that changed everything. And that's one of those deals where a manager makes a decision and it really changed things, having him in the game. That's not typically that he wasn't in the lineup before, but if he wouldn't have been in the lineup, here's a guy who's got the best average against Wheeler. He's kind of dominated the Braves in the playoffs, and he was doing it again last night. So that just changed everything. And all of a sudden the at-bats got better for the Braves. I think up until that point, the only person I'd really seen who had a good at-bat was Olsen. He was up there getting a lot of pitches and everything and kind of running the pitch count up. But at the end of the game, too, I mean, that may be one of the best endings to a baseball game I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, there was some defense there. And then also, you got Bryce Harper, who has had pretty much a pretty good series up there. Great first game, 2 for 2. I think 1 for 4 last night, but definitely scored some runs. How much did he shut down those chances there at the end of that game?
Who, Harper?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I've seen everybody going on Twitter and everything else about what a stupid base running move. I disagree with that. I like Harper going there. I'm sending him every time right there in that situation because you've got, and I get it. You only have one out and you're only down by one. Keep him on base and all of that. But he's trying. There's no momentum going for the Phillies. And I do think that in the regular season, momentum's not as big of a deal as it is, but in the playoffs, it's everything. And the Braves had seized all the momentum, and it just felt like it was the Braves to win, and the Phillies had zero chance. It's just kind of the feeling you had. And I think Harper felt that, and he took off. I mean, he made a decision that, I think this ball's going to get over Harris's head, and I can score and tie this game up from first base. And he gambled and he lost. But I mean, we talk about this all the time. How do you, in the playoffs, you've got to generate runs. And right now, I think that that's what he was trying to do. Maybe you go back and he doesn't do that. But I didn't think it was a terrible decision on his part to take off. It took the Braves making two absolutely perfect plays to get him out at first as it is. Sometimes I like putting that pressure on the defense and make the defense make plays. If they make great plays, then guess what? You lose. But now they're going to Philly, tied up 1-1. I don't think that they felt like they were going to be 2-0 going to Philly anyway. And pressure's still on the Braves now. You got to go reel off one game in Philadelphia, which is a tougher place to play than about anywhere. Although I think at the end of that game last night, I saw something earlier that the seismograph registered a little bit of vibration from the stadium there when the Braves fans went wild. So,
are you sure that wasn't you just passing gas?
That might have been, but nothing showed up for Birmingham. So,
all right. If you're the Braves, are you worried about Acuna? Has not yet to get a hit in the first two games. Leadoff man, kind of sets the tone for you. And now you're on the road up there, so it kind of sets the tone to start the game.
Yeah, I think Acuna's. I mean, honestly, like he's kind of the backbone of that team. Really, like they feed off of his energy. He gets on base though. It feels like every time you see him up, he's still somehow constantly on base. And I think his bat's going to come to life. If it doesn't, right now, it seems like other guys are getting, making it happen. Their bats are still not on fire yet, though. And I think though that may change. I think Braves fans would have liked to have seen that game be tonight in Philly, but we'll see how it goes. I think they'll start hitting the ball though.
What you're going to Philly? There's been a lot of talk about the Phillies fan and the atmosphere. They've really gotten into it the second half of the season here, and they've really been anticipating the Braves coming up there, and it's going to be in a unruly atmosphere. Talk a little bit about that. What you're hearing, what you're reading, what you're seeing, what you're hearing from some of your contacts.
Yeah, I think it'll be the wildest atmosphere that the Braves ever play in all season. It already is. It's the loudest. Philly fans, no matter what sport it is, are the toughest fans for an opposing team to play in front of. It's a tough crowd, and they're loud. They stay loud. The whole game's going to be loud. It's not going to be like Atlanta, where through 4 innings it was like dead silent in that stadium. They're going to be loud from start to finish, and it's going to be up to the Braves to try to quiet them down. And but it's going to be tough if the Braves get out of there 1-1. Obviously that's what they're going to have to do. Fat chance that they go up there and reel off 2 in a row. If they do, then the Braves are my favorite to win the World Series for sure. But right now, they just got to go up there. Think possibility Charlie Morton's going to pitch. He got reactivated, so he's going to be back. I don't know. He hadn't pitched in 3 weeks. So we'll see if Charlie Morton can go, then that's going to be a big boost for the Braves.
Talk about a little bit about the pitching that we've seen through pretty much all the series. We've seen kind of a transition in baseball over the last couple of years. You don't have that 7-inning playoff guy much anymore. And some of that you think you're seeing just because of the changing of the game. I mean, you're seeing guys only go 4 or 5 innings in the playoffs now, and then 1 inning here, 1 inning there for your different relievers and setup men. Is that somewhat of a function of just how much the game's changed, or does some of that have to do with the analytics and the pitching rules now where you have to be in for 3 batters, so they're bringing them in for a full inning and kind of looking ahead of where they want to get those matchups?
Yeah, I mean, I think also, too, as we get to the playoffs, most, these teams run 5 5-man rotation, 4-man rotation throughout the year. I feel like everybody right now at this point is kind of running like a 2 or 3-man rotation and then a bullpen. And so you're hoping to get 5 innings out of your starter. Strider got 7 the other day, took the loss. I think we've seen 2 guys go 7 innings, and nobody else has been close. We've seen a lot of inning and a half or inning and 2/3 or whatever games for pitchers. So I don't know. We saw last night for the Braves, Max Fried just could not get it going, and I mean he was at 80 something pitches and just a few innings. And so I feel like everybody right now this time of year has about a 90 pitch limit. I think you may see if somebody gets deep into a game still pitching really well, you might see a 105 pitch game for somebody, but that's about it. I think really it's going to be, if you can get 80 to 90 pitches out of your starter and feel good about it, then you're going to move to your bullpen. And everybody at this point that's left in this thing has bullpens, I think, that they feel they can get 3 to 5 innings out of. You don't want to have to get 5 innings every night out of them, but if you can do 3 or 4 innings a night with your bullpen, you got to feel pretty good about that.
When you got a team like the Rangers that come in and they just basically they haven't even really – they worked a little bit, I think, in game 1, but game 2 and game 3, it doesn't look like they're having to work a whole lot. Do you think that gives you an advantage heading into the next series? Was if they go ahead and wrap it up here, or again being so easy and not having to really work that hard? Because again, I think you go back and look at the teams that were really fighting down to the end of the season are the ones that are being successful in the postseason here.
No, I think they're confident. So you're going to be riding a lot of confidence. Your hitters feel good. You're getting a lot of at bats. They're about getting through the lineup, and you've got half your lineup getting 5 at bats a game. So I think the Rangers, especially they finish this thing off tonight, the Rangers are going to be riding high going into the American League Championship Series.
Corey Seager, obviously playoff experience with the Dodgers. Dodgers have been there many times. How much do you think that's playing into the success the Rangers are having in that clubhouse?
Oh, a ton. If you look right now, some of the best players in this thing are guys who maybe not with their current team, but with another team. Like right now, the Twins' hottest players, obviously, Carrera. And, that guy's got more. I think he just went ahead of Jeter or something. And, he's got more experience than anybody in this thing. And he's the only thing right now going well for the Twins. I had a bad 0 for day today, but yesterday was hot as it could be. And so, I think the veteran players on all these teams are really the Phillies have a lot of guys that have a lot of playoff experience, and those guys are hot right now. The Houston obviously has a ton of guys that have a ton of playoff experience. And, you're seeing the same teams. Just keep getting back.
So we talked about a little bit, got a little excited on our first show about small ball and where is it? Now it seems to be back. So are you excited to see some small ball and some strategy and managers manufacturing runs?
I love it, man. I think, watching the early part of the Twins game today, and they were trying to pop the bunt up. And, and you feel like sometimes you watch a game and you see teams who are just like can't seem to get anything going, and they're trying to make something happen, and sometimes that backfires on you, and guys are screwing up. Baltimore Hicks missed a hit and run the other night, got Gunnar Henderson thrown out at second, and so I like seeing teams lay the ball down. I like, and you do too. We watched a lot of baseball together. I'm watching Wheeler last night through 3 or 4 innings just dominate the Braves lineup with high fastballs, 0-2, 1-2 high fastballs, just throwing fastball after fastball, mixing in an off-speed pitch here and there, but getting 2 strikes on Braves hitters and just blasting 97-mile-an-hour fastballs 6-8 inches above the zone and killing the Braves with it. It feels like I'm watching high school baseball again at that point. You see a guy though like Wheeler who just goes back to what he knows will work for a team who's struggling at the plate. He saw the Braves batters weren't, and I'm telling you right now, if they didn't have the mile per hour up there, you would have thought those balls were 120 miles per hour the way the Braves were whiffing at them and just swinging out of the zone at everything. And when you see a pitcher just be able to dominate doing that type of strategy, it's fun to watch. That's why we love the playoffs, man.
Yeah, I thought you liked that low and away ball in the dirt on 2 strikes.
I like that too, but no, I'm a high fastball guy on a head
I
of the
know.
count,
I know. How many
especially
times have I
some
heard
high
you?
school college ball.
Yeah. How many times have I heard you say? So, again, real quick, get back to the Orioles one last time. So, you go 162 game season, you dominate, you're there, you hadn't been there. And, where do you look when something? I mean, or you just kind of just say, we just didn't do well in the postseason. I mean, where do you? I mean, because you were so good all season long, and then just basically, I mean, I think it's easy to say they're kind of laying an egg here.
Oh, but it's a building block. I mean, the Orioles have been terrible for a while, and they've built this team. They've drafted well. They've brought guys up through the minors, made a few trades, and brought in some veteran guys. And it's kind of like this is a building block. They've got a young manager, so no, I don't think you look at this as a negative at all. You know that you've got the guys. You don't have the experience right now. Your manager doesn't. Your team doesn't. And in the playoffs, managers' jobs are to motivate teams to try to basically be a psychologist, try to figure out what is going to make this team do their best at this time of year. He's not coaching anything. He's not. The lineup is pretty self-explanatory for most parts. Obviously, look at the Phillies last night. Let's leave Wheeler in for one more batter against Little D, and Little D takes him deep, and you're out of the game at that point. That kind of turned everything around for the Braves. But so that's a manager making a mistake and costing them a game. But I think the Orioles going forward for sure. This is definitely a building block.
All right, Dodgers got any chance to bring it back to LA to finish it up, or are they going to be good? They're going to get wrapped up there in Arizona?
No, I think they're going to get wrapped up in Arizona unless they can get their bats going and their pitching. I mean, right now, it's a team who won a lot of games because they had really good pitching all year, and their bats were hot, and they're not doing either. Um, I think right now some of our favorites. I told you I thought Texas would definitely handle Baltimore. I thought that Houston would definitely handle the Twins. And I wanted Arizona to beat the Dodgers, but I didn't think that was going to happen. But right now, the Arizona's outplaying the Dodgers in every facet of the game.
Arizona's playing, it's hard to figure how they're doing it because, again, while they were in a battle down the stretch, I mean, they lost 4 straight to limp their way into the playoffs, and then they won 2 out of 3 to advance, and now they're on another. I guess they've won their first 4 playoff games, and the Dodgers really seem to show no sign of life. It's almost like the Dodgers are tired of being there. They're like unmotivated.
Well, I mean, I think Mookie Betts doesn't have a hit yet in the series. He's, 0 for 7 or 8 or something like that. You've got to have your best veteran guys have to show up. If those guys don't show up in the playoffs, it's going to be really tough for any of these teams to win. And right now, you look, you've got so many veteran guys that are hitting the ball, making plays, and just doing everything right. And so, the Dodgers, yeah, they do. They look flat. They look dead. It was just there's no life in them. And the Braves were looking like that really until about 4 or 5 innings into that game last night. And then they suddenly got a little bit of life. And honestly, it took Trey Turner making an error to get a runner on for the Braves. And all of a sudden it felt like, oh, we have a chance, and still getting no hit. But
so if you're Major League, 2 more questions for you, I'll let you go because I know you want to get to watch some baseball. But if you're Major League Baseball, you're a little disappointed with the divisional series here being so lopsided. I mean, it's hard to keep some ratings, 6-0, 9-1. With the exception of I think the Braves game and maybe I think the first Rangers game 3-2. I mean, most of these games have been decided pretty early.
Yeah, for the most part. I imagine they're going to look at this wild card thing, because it definitely seemed to hurt the batters. We talked about that last week that, the batters are going to suffer when you're off for all week. You go 5 months of seeing live pitching, and I don't care. That I heard announcers talking about it earlier today. These pitching machines you can literally put in, a certain pitcher and it's going to throw his exact spin rate, his exact pitches and all that. That's great. And don't get me wrong. It certainly makes batters better, but there's nothing to take the place of live game ABs. And, if you're not getting those for a week, you're going to get cold. Batters have to get live ABs. That's the only way for those guys. And so as they're getting some at bats, maybe the bats will start turning up. And I'd love to see some come from behinds and everything. I mean, I'm not ready to give up on this Baltimore team, although they seem to be out of it. But You know,
stranger things have happened in the playoffs.
I mean,
So
honestly, if you would ask any Braves fan after the fourth inning last night if they had any chance, they were already ready to burn the whole team down, burn the clubhouse, fire everybody. It was almost entertaining to watch, but you know, and then they came back, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, everything's fine now.
everything's fine. Well, all right, that's where we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up here on the Braves Phillies. So last night Phillies, you know, so close within their grasp to go ahead and take that 2-0 series, because then I think, you know, if you'd asked the Phillies going into this series, they leave Atlanta 1-1, they're probably thrilled, right? But they had that chance. Did the Braves steal a little bit of momentum and do they take the advantage up to Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, so they're going to step into a hostile crowd tomorrow, and yeah, I think they definitely have a little bit feel like they have some momentum, but they know where they're going to play, and they know it's not easy. Nola's had their number in the playoffs, and Aaron Nola's going to do his thing. Hadn't been super sharp this year, but it seems like it doesn't matter. That him and Wheeler get to the playoffs, and they just find a whole nother gear. And so the Braves bats are going to have to come alive early. I don't think they're going to get out of Philly with a win if they, you know, wait till the sixth inning to get a hit.
Do you think this comes back, gets decided in the final game in Atlanta, or is it going to get wrapped up in Philadelphia?
I mean, if obviously the Braves would love to wrap it up in Philadelphia, but I think it goes.
Braves aren't going to wrap it up in Philadelphia. Braves are the only chance.
No, they're not going to
wrap it up. The only chance Braves got to wrap it up is bringing it back to Atlanta. So that was my nice way of asking you. Are the Braves going to be able to get out of this one?
No, I think they're going back to Atlanta, but I do think that the Braves could. I think the Braves, when they're playing their best ball, they're the best team in baseball, and I think there's a team that can do it. It definitely is them. If Charlie Morton is healthy and back, and you know can get 3 or 4 innings, 5 innings for the Braves tomorrow, if it is Charlie Morton that goes, or if they have a bullpen game where they try to throw 6 guys and get through a game that way. So we'll see what happens, but. Yeah, I think it's definitely going back to Atlanta.
Well, that'll be good because I think that'd be the only series, and they'll be playing by themselves there for a little bit and get all the ratings there, and then
never know, man. It's playoff baseball though. Dodgers might come to life.
I don't know, but I think if you'd asked anybody mid-September if they saw the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks heading into the National League Championship Series, everybody would have taken that bet off of you, like thinking you're crazy. But it looks like the Diamondbacks have got hot at the right time. And again, you go back and look, Cardinals did it in 2011. They needed life support, and thanks to the Braves, they got some help and they got in there and made a run. And Rockies that one year where they finished like on a 20 out of 26 stretch, and I don't think they won a World Series, but they made it to the World Series that year. And,
yeah, I mean, if you had told Diamondbacks fans that they were going to, face 2 of the best pitchers in baseball, and neither one of them would make it 2 innings before getting pulled, they probably would have felt pretty good about that. So
I know it's the last question, but Clayton Kershaw legacy in the playoffs. I mean, he has struggled. Great regular season pitcher. Why do you start him game 1 when you know he's had those problems? I know he's your number 1 guy, but why not change it up a little bit? Kind of like what was that movie Tim Cup, where take your keys out, put them in your left pocket instead of your right, put one behind your ear. Why not change it up a little bit just to change your mindset?
I mean, it's baseball. I think managers get into Dave Roberts is sitting out there going, this is my guy. This is my guy. He's trying not to believe in all that stuff right now. He's probably thinking the way you're talking right now, but at the time, he believes that he sees Clayton do it all year, and it just gets in your head, man. This is your guy. You feel you have a lot of faith in him, and I think that's just what happens.
Is if you get into a situation, is a Clayton Kershaw available for you late in the game if you need somebody to come in relief in a do or die situation?
Oh yeah, I think there's no question that you're going to use whatever you can, and right now they are do or die, so they're going to do whatever they can do. Yeah, Clayton I think is definitely going to be available. I think everybody's available except for anybody just about. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, when your back's against the wall, you got to do whatever you can do to win that next game, and then worry about the game after that later.
Yeah, I'm not even going to challenge you for a prediction in the next round yet. So, we'll be talking again this weekend, Rick. I enjoyed talking to you as always, and we've kind of been basing our schedule based off where the series are going, so we have a little bit to talk about, but definitely plenty to talk about tonight. And that Braves game, I think you still are walking on air after that. It was a good game last night, and it was some good defense, and I think pulled a home run back and some good plays down the stretch there in a close game. But again, I think the Phillies, if the Phillies don't win that series, I think they will look back to that game and the 11 left on base and see some definitely missed opportunities where they had a chance to take control of that series last night.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's going to come down to him leaving Wheeler in to face Darno, and when he should have pulled him right after that. That was just a huge mistake right there. But and I'm not really a Braves fan. I think that they do have the best team. And when they get going, they're exciting to watch. And, they have really great pitching and hit the ball. And I like teams that kind of do it all the way they do it. So they're a lot of fun to watch. And if Philly wins it, then Philly wins it. And we get 5. I think that if we get 5 games out of this series, it's going to be, I think we have 3 really exciting games left.
Pick it for me. Who wins? Braves, Phillies?
Braves.
All right, there you go. You heard it here first. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight on Baseball Chatter. Hey, batter, swing batter, right? As they said in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Swinging, he can't.
There you go. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Rick. I look forward to talking to you this weekend and getting a little bit more baseball talk in. It's always October is a great month, football and baseball. But look forward to talking to you this weekend.
Sounds good. Thanks, George.